Hello everybody, welcome to the channel Sinfinity Uja. If you're new to the channel, please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. I really do need those watch hours. And if you're returning, then welcome back, brand new video. So before we get started, this guide is going completely off of Megaliths guide. He has made one. I will link it in the description. All credits go to him and to my buddy Solon for actually helping me out with it. So without further ado, let's get into it. And I will highly recommend that before getting into this video as well, that you go to my previous video about making skins. So I'm going to be making this video assuming that you have already watched it and know the basics of skin making, which is not difficult. So if you'd like to check that out, please do check it out. I will link it right here in the top corner, so make sure you check that out. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to be working with MREC textures. There are two different types, so I will be showing the basics of working with an MREC texture and what everything does and what it means and what it does in certain areas of the aircraft and what areas will glow. So without further ado, I'm going to Alt F4 Ace Combat. We have OBS right here, a lot of other stuff. Here we go. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to show you the types of skins we're going to be working with. So we have just a basic green MREC texture that's clearly visible. So this is the first type we're going to work with. Also going to be working with the normal maps, which that will come later in the video. And then we have a different type of MREC texture, which we're going to be using the Su-35 that you saw at the beginning of this video. We're going to be using that one as an example. So the other MREC texture looks like this. It has an alpha channel. So therefore, we're going to be working with the green one first, and I'm just going to be showing the basics of how to edit the MREC textures, and then I will put in timestamps showing exactly how to work with each other one and how they kind of compare to each other. For certain aircraft, there's certain ones. There's not really much you can do about that, but just kind of work with them. So I'm going to open up the F-16, and basically if you take a look at Megaliths guide, it shows step by step. So if you get stuck, please look at his guide and it will show you what it means. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to talk about what the colors mean on the aircraft, and we're going to talk about where we're going to make things glow. So we're going to do OK. I did not mean to hit cancel. That was completely by accident, but GIMP is open, so just do this. You get a prompt that pops up like that. There we go. We see our beautiful F-16. So here's the basics. So basically green is kind of like the metallic roughness. It's kind of like a matte type finish, kind of like what you see on the OCA skins, the kind of matte look to the metal texture. So then we have the pink areas, which those are pretty much formation lights and things like that. And then we have our red areas. Those are more like the metallic and shiny area. So if you want an area on your aircraft to be really shiny, you can just simply paint it red and it will pretty much just kind of glisten in the sun, or it will be very, very shiny, almost like a wet type look. And then the blue, that's where it's going to glow. So it's not like the other textures where like you just paint the MREC blue, you put it in, and then just like that, you know, it's good to go. It doesn't exactly work like that. We're going to need to do some things to Unreal Engine. So assuming that you already went through the tutorial again, so this basically what we're gonna do. So I'm going to open up my old texture, which will be, let's see, let's use this one. So we're going to open this up right here, delete this shortcut that I did not mean to make that. So this is our basic texture right here. So actually it's not loading, so I'm going to close it out and just open it in GIMP. If this PC will stop being slow. There we go, perfect. Just gonna open it with GIMP. And this tutorial is with GIMP, but it's not Photoshop. I'm pretty sure that there is a document out there showing how to do with Photoshop, but until then, just do your best to try and apply it to there, because I'm not familiar with Photoshop. I do not have Photoshop. But anyway, so this is our base skin. And let's say I wanted these little spots right here to be kind of glowish, right? So what I'm gonna do, just gonna do this, create a new layer and hit OK, and then we're gonna have the blue right here, right? It's gonna be the blue, and then let's say you want it to get in like this little cricks right here. Let's do this right here. This is a paths tool, So basically you can use it to kind of stroke lines through. So just kind of like this. Go right here. Zoom in really close and make sure these are not touching. But when you zoom out, it looks like they are. Keep on doing it. And basically just keep on doing this. You're going to hit stroke path. You're going to choose how big it's going to be. Whatever color this is, that's the color it's going to fill. But in this case, we will want blue, or let's say I want that part shiny, I'll make it red. So just going to hit stroke. And then we're going to hit the move tool. Just let it be. And now you can see it's now stroked down on our texture. So what we're going to do, we're going to turn that off, and then you can see the spot that's marked blue. And you can just keep on doing that to other parts of the aircraft that you want glowing, or you can simply do this as shown in the previous tutorial. Go right here and select a certain area that we want to paint, like this. Get our paintbrush, fill it, Control Shift A, and there we go. Make sure you're working on this texture on the new one you just made and not the original texture. So with that being said, I already do have a pre-made one just for time reasons. So I'm just going to close this one out. Actually, wait, no, before I get into that, another option you want to do, let's say that there's a specific color that you want to be chosen for the aircraft, that you want painted differently. Just simply go right here to the color selector tool. Go right here, you're going to click this. Whoops, wrong layer. Make sure you're on the main layer if you do this. And then we turn up our threshold a little bit so it captures a little bit more. So you're just going to click again. And now it selects all of our blue spots like this. And then let's say you have some spots like this, kind of darker. Just going to hold down shift to left click. It should select some more, but the threshold is too high. The higher the threshold is, the more it's going to actually look for to select. So we're doing that. And then typically, so you don't have issues with the alpha channel, you're just going to select those. You're going to go to your new layer and you're just going to paint it blue like that. So go over all those spots and just paint it blue. Don't Control C, Control V it and make a new layer and do it, because that will only cause issues. Just do it like this. Then we're going to Control Shift A and delete this layer. And now we have our blue spots that we want. So basically those are a couple ways to do it. And now this next part, this is where we're going to have the different timestamps showing what to do. I will go over a couple things twice, but first we're going to work with the F16 since it's already open. And go to this timestamp right here if you want to see the other alpha texture at the MREC. So if you need to see what that looks like, please skip to this time marker. Until then, I'm going to start working on this one. So we have our skin right here. And what we're going to do, let's say that you already made that other texture I was talking about, which would be this one. And you want certain spots to glow. So we're going to do this. I have already pre-made a texture that I'm currently working on. So I'm going to go right here. And then I'm going to wait for this to load. And then you should be able to have a layer over. So I'm going to go right here to the layer over. And you can just drag and drop like that. And there you go. Now you have your blue spots. So one thing you want to make sure that it does happen. And make sure that you can turn that off. You turn off your alpha channel. And it only shows the blue. And if it doesn't show only blue, like let's say that it shows a little bit of that green texture that we have right here, we turn off the alpha channel. And make sure that this is unchecked. Make sure that it's off. If it is off and it's still showing, what you're going to do is you're going to go back here to the layer where you're highlighting things. And you're just going to go back. You're going to do the color select, go to where you want. And you're going to make a new layer like this. And you're just going to color over, save it, and then you're just going to layer it over on the MREC texture, which would be this one. So now that that's out the way, I'm going to go to the one that I actually already made, again for time's sake reasons. So this is the one I made earlier. I'm going to go right here, open with GIMP, and there we go. So the error I was talking about earlier would be this one. This is a great example of it. Say go right here. I'm gonna open it up. I'll turn this off. You turn on the alpha channel, and there's nothing there. So it could be a multitude of things. Like let's say I do this. Control C, Control V, go to our layers, wait for this to get out the way, hit plus, turn this off, and see it does show our blue right here, but we go right here, turn it off, and it shows this. So if it does do that, what we can do is we can go back like this. We're going to color select, make a new layer like this, and like I said before, just gonna color over it kind of like this. Make sure that your paint color is blue or red or whatever you choose to be. Remember that red is our metallic and shiny look, and that blue is where we're gonna have our emissions come from. So let's say that's good enough. I'm gonna Control Shift A, and then we're just gonna delete this right here. Actually, no, not delete it. We're just gonna turn it off like this. Go right here, and now it shows blue. So then now you're able to save it, and then you should be able to merge it. So I'm gonna go right here, go down to merge down, go right here, and the alpha channel still isn't doing anything, so that means it's okay. Or you can just leave it the way it was before. Either one works, but you are gonna have to end up getting rid of the alpha channel, so I would recommend merging it. And then what you're gonna have to do with the export, you have to export as, and then I'm just gonna go up here to tutorial like this, and then we're gonna export it as a TGA. So then it's gonna export as a TGA like this, and then what we're gonna do, we're going to reopen it. We need to reopen it to get rid of the alpha layer. For some reason we cannot get rid of the alpha layer doing it like this. Well, in this case we can, luckily, but sometimes it will not let you, so usually you want to re-export it and do that again. I do believe it's because you merged them together that you do not need to get rid of the alpha channel. But in any other case, you would need to go back here, you need to reopen your skin like this. Actually, no, this is a DDS file. I'm gonna go to the TGA file that we just made. Should be in the tutorial folder. MREC TGA. It's gonna load it up, and there we go. So we do have our alpha channel. So what we're gonna do, we can go to Layer, Transparency, remove alpha channel. We can do it like that, or you can right click right here, and in this right here, remove alpha channel, and now I have no more alpha channel. Then you keep it like that. And that's basically all you have to do for this. So now we're going to go to the SC35 version. Okay, so now we're on the SC35 with our beautiful alpha channel, and obviously we cannot see the plane, so what we're going to do, we need to make it visible, and by that we're going to go to our channels. We're going to uncheck the alpha, and now we can see our beautiful SC35. So next what we're going to do, we're going to create something to work on. So we're going to right click, new from visible, and now we have a beautiful visible layer to work on, and we do not want to work on the main surface. It will screw up everything if you do. So I'm just going to kind of re-explain. The green is kind of like a matte type texture area, the red, orange, yellow, it's kind of like a more metallic type area. It gives kind of that wet look or that kind of shiny look. And then the blue is where our emissions come from, which is where our glow is going to be. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to go over to the layer that I made before. This is the SC35, so at the beginning of the video, I'm going to go right there, and it loads in perfectly. So the blue is where our plane is going to glow, and then now I'm just going to merge these two together like this. Then now that we've done that, we need to reapply the alpha channel to the MREC texture. So I'm going to go to the original one. I'm going to click on this, add alpha to selection, and there we go. So the other thing that we need to do, we need to make all the layers invisible except the one that we just made, which is this visible layer. So that's going to be invisible like this. And then we're going to go right click on the DDS layer, which we already did. Make sure that we have alpha added. I'm going to do it again. So now we have it selected. You should see some little small things like this where the formation lights would be. And then next thing we're going to do, I'm going to go to our flat layer, which is this visible one right there. And then we're going to go to select. I'm going to go to invert. Then we're going to go to edit. Then we're going to go to clear. So we're going to go back here. Then it should look like that if you turn on your alpha. If you turn it off, it should show the blue. If you turn it on and off like that, it should look like this. So basically you want your alpha on whenever you export your texture. And since you already have this, you're just going to do Control-Shift-A, and there we go, it works. So make sure to turn off. It should show the blue and should show all of your work that you have done. And turn it off, and just like that. Now another quick example I want to do. Let's say you want to actually layer something over this, for your original skin. So let's go, actually not this one. Alright, here we go. We are just gonna go right here. Now we have our original texture. I'm gonna turn on the opacity. And then this, we're just going to go right there. Make the invisible. And then we're gonna do new layer from visible. Turn this back on. Click this, turn the opacity up. Just kind of move it around, and now you can see where you want to mark it. So let's say you want to do blue right there. Just kind of do it like this. It's not going to be perfect because it's just an example. Like that, like that. Make sure you're on the visible texture when you do this. Like that, so you turn it off. And then now you have a blue marking right there where you want it to be. So that's one thing you can do. But I do already have this texture made. So basically here's what you want to do. So we're just going to kind of go through that process again. So we have our main surface, we have our alpha channel turned off where you can see the aircraft. So we're just going to do new layer from visible once again. Actually wait, yeah, that's what we're going to do. Just making sure I had it open. Okay, so now that it's open, just going to drag my texture over once more. So do our layer, and there we go, merge it down. And then we're gonna go right here, turn that off, add alpha to selection. This pops up. Then we're gonna go right here, edit, actually no, select, invert, and edit, then clear. Then we're gonna go turn on our alpha channel, and it looks nice and beautiful, and it is perfect. So with that being said, I'm gonna do this. Make sure everything's okay. Then we're gonna go here, turn it off, and then we're gonna export it. So I'm gonna go to tutorial, then let's do O2 MREC. We export it as a TGA file, not DDS, TGA. Export, and there we go, now we have it. So that's both ways to do these alpha channels and these MREC textures. So now we're going to go to the little bit more complicated part. If you would like to check on your aircraft and where certain spots are, I will now show you how to do that. So we're going to go over here. Let's see. Here, this one. So I'm just going to go to my Blender folder. I'm sorry this is really kind of messy. I haven't had much time to clean this up. So we're just going to load up Blender here. Alright, so loading. And there we go. So this is something I forgot to mention in my other video, but if you want to make sure that the right glow spots are okay, we're just going to go right here. 235. I did show this in my previous tutorial, so I'm just going to do the simple thing, just kind of blow through this very quickly. This the right one? Yeah, I think it is. I couldn't tell if this is the vector thrust model or not, but we will find out pretty shortly. So I'm just going to click on this. I'm going to do this right here. There we go. The next thing we're going to do, I'm going to go right here. And then base color, image. Again, I'm just kind of blowing through this because, again, I did show how to do this in my previous video. I will leave a time marker, and there are actual time markers in the description of my old video. So I'm just gonna do this right here. I have our beautiful unbounded texture, and then we're gonna go right here. This is the part I did not show. This is new. On emission, I'm gonna click this little yellow circle, image texture, new, okay. Go to our folder, go right here, SU35 O2 MREC. And there we go. Now we can see the parts of the aircraft that are going to glow. So if it's kind of like a bluish purplish color, ignore these missiles. Actually, let's get rid of those. And then those are the spots that you're going to see glow on the aircraft. If it's not green or red or anything like that, again, that's where it's going to glow. So now that we see that, that's just kind of simple way to look at where things are going to glow. And if you need to look at certain spots on the aircraft and don't know where it is, what we're going to do, we're going to click this, go into edit mode. That's going to pop up our texture right over here. And then we're going to click this right there. This is the faces, and make sure that it says faces. And then we're just going to click and drag, and it shows the spot on the aircraft where it's marked. So now you can see where to go. And let's say you want to look at the original texture on the aircraft. Just going to go down here, SU3502. And there we go, it changes just like that. If you want to see the texture over here, just click right there. If you want to change it on this aircraft, to go right here to the materials tab, folder, and then you just open up the same thing. And then also you have your folder right here, just showing MREC. If you would like to get rid of this, you can simply click the X and it gets rid of it. So this way you can see the difficult areas on the aircraft that are kind of tough to reach, and makes it a little easier for you. So just a little tip to help out. So let's get to the complicated part, which is working with Unreal Engine. Alright guys, we just uploaded loaded Unreal Engine 4. So make sure it's version 4.18 or this is not going to work. So what we're gonna do is, in the description I provided a zip file called UE4 GLOW, and we're going to be using this folder, AC7 UE4 GLOW. So you see there are 3 folders in here. Just gonna simply drag this to the side, and then we're gonna actually open up where our cooked files are going to go to, which would be, let's see, do I have it open? I do not have it open, which means let's go over to that folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down. Let's see, it's not this one, it is this drive. I'm going to go all the way down. It's UE4 cooked right here. Just going to bring this over to our left side. And then the project I just named is going to be F16 something. Let's see, where is it? F16 Glow Test. That's the project name. And then you can name it whatever, just go to the project name, go inside the content folder, simply drag and drop these. You cannot drop it into UE4 itself or it's not going to work. Make sure that you go inside the cooked content folder, and then make sure, or not the cooked content folder, but just the content folder, and make sure that this is dropped in. So it should be all of your projects. Click here, content, and you drag and drop here, and then it should appear in the project like this. If it does not appear, simply just restart UE4 Editor and it should appear. So we're going to go to the basics. Excuse me. So I'm going to click right here, go to the sources panel. Sorry, allergies are bothering me. And then we're going to go to aircraft, double click. And then I also have left an example for the SU35 of what to do. So essentially we're going to be adding our normal map, which I will show how to do that in a quick second. We're going to be editing our MREC, editing our albedo or our normal texture, and making 2 instances. And that's all we have to do. It's not complicated at all. So we're going to go back to aircraft, and we're going to be doing the F16. So I'm simply going to go to new folder, F16C. Again, if you need anything, we have the readme file that is within the zip folder, and it shows all the aircraft names and as well as it shows the skin slots just in case you need it or in case you forget. So did I not rename it? Oh, that's a bummer. There we go. I'm gonna fix that, and there we go. Alright, so next I'm gonna open this up, and we're just gonna do the skin slot that we're going to replace, which we are going to replace the Strider skin, so that would be 05. So we're gonna go here. Then the skins I just made, we're gonna use the F16 for this example. I'm going to simply just drag in the MREC texture until it drops in, and there we go. And then we also have, let me go back up here. So your normal texture, you can export as a PNG or TGA. I prefer TGA, but since we already have a PNG version made, just for example reasons, I'm going to drag it over. So you're going to have it load in just like this. It's going to import, and there we go. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to need to make a normal map, so it's going to look kind of like this. So I'm just going to close out the two that I've already worked on in the previous attempt to make this video. So I'm going to go right here, and it should say _in. That is your normal map, so make sure that you click that. Every aircraft has it. Your normal map is basically your roughness of the aircraft, so we're just going to click OK. Then we're going to have to export it twice because you cannot get rid of the alpha layer. So we're going to go to transparency, and you see you cannot remove the alpha channel, which we do need to remove that. So I'm going to export it once. So let's go to right here. This is my recently used. I'm just put in right there for normal map because I already exported it before. Make sure that it is indeed a TGA file. So we're going to go to export. We export this file, and we're all good. But we're not finished. So I'm going to go back here, back to the normal map folder that I just created. You don't have to make a normal map folder. I just did that just to keep them separate. So we're simply going to reopen it. And then now we have the ability to remove the alpha channel. So I can do it either through here, or I can go to your layers, right click, and it's right here. So we're going to do that. And as you can see, no more alpha channel. And we're going to go to override. So it overrides. Now we're done with the photo editor. So we're going to go back, take our normal map, drag it in here. And before we go any further, make sure that you rename your slots. Make sure that it is indeed the proper slot. So I'm just going to go over here. I'm going to do 05, 05, and last but not least, 05. To make sure that we are indeed using the Strider slot. Whoops. _D, and it's all good. So now that we have our slots renamed, we have all the things that we need to make sure that these export properly. So we're gonna go here, and then we're gonna do simple average. Then we're gonna click character. This is your albedo skin or your normal skin, but for Unreal Engine it calls it albedo, so it's an albedo skin. So we're going to do this. I'm going to save it. Click the X here. Go to our MREC. And this one's a little bit different. Simple average. Character specular. Not world specular, character specular. Uncheck sRGB. And we're going to hit save. And then last but not least, our normal map. Simple average. Then character normal map. And that remains unchecked. I'm going to hit save. Now if you're using a texture that's kind of like on the SC35, let me show you. So you do all the same things, but the MREC texture is still going to show up like this. Make sure you do all the same settings just to make sure. I'm going to go to view, uncheck alpha, and that's how you can see if the skin looks okay and it's all good. Recheck it, hit save, and then you're all good. So back to the F16. This is the same process from now on. So this is the little bit tougher part. We're going to make a material instance. So we're going to right click. We're going to go to materials and textures, material instance. So we're going to give it the aircraft name, F-16C underscore the slot, which is number 5 Strider, and then we're going to do underscore and then I, capital I, NST. The NST is lowercase and it's short for instance. We're going to click on it. Then we're going to go to parent, and this is where we select our materials to make sure that the game can read it properly. We're going to go into aircraft instance, and then we're going to go to power rooms. Then we're going to check these off right here. So this is the brightness. It's kind of different on each skin. Some aircraft is stupid bright at like 20, some of them is stupid bright at 80, some of them is stupid bright at like 7. It kind of depends. So I know this skin slot specifically, let's call it safe at 5. So some skins, it may not seem like it's glowing, it may not seem like that or anything. It might be glowing. You can see on the night map if there are no shadows in that area where you want it to glow, that means it is glowing. The light is just very, very low, which means you need to go back in Unreal and you need to turn it up and recook your files or re-put it in. So quite simple. And then right here is the emissive contrast. And say you want your colors to pop out some more, so I'm just gonna put that at like 7 preferably, and honestly every single time keep it at 1, but I'm gonna put mine at 7 because there are certain areas on aircraft I want to pop out with color. So I'm just gonna keep it at 7, and it might not work if you have it all white, but I do believe this is a good time to see. But if it doesn't, it's okay, you still get the glow, you still get the glowing colors in the right spots that you want. So next thing we're gonna do, it is not going to work if you do not press 1 right here. It's not gonna work. Make sure that emissive is enabled. So now here's the albedo, here's the MREC, here's the normal map. So what we're gonna do, F16, 05, F16, MREC, F16 normal. There we go. Save. And then the next thing we're gonna do, duplicate, right arrow key, delete, no, not delete, backspace, I'm sorry. Right behind the capital I, capital D, decal. It's gonna be decal underscore instance. F16 05 decal instance. So make sure it has decal. So then we're just gonna hit save. You don't need to do anything else. You copy and paste it, which means that all of your settings are indeed saved. So we're just gonna hit the X right there. Then now it is ready to cook. So there are some troubleshooting things that can go along with this, and I will explain that towards the end before I end the video. So this should be pretty easy to fix. There are some unknown errors that I do not know how to fix, but I will cover all the ones that I am familiar with and that you are most likely to encounter, just to make it a little bit easier. So the next thing we're gonna do, we need to go make sure that we have all our textures all saved up. So I'm gonna go down to pack mod right here, and you have a template right here. So the template, that's kind of like, that's what you're gonna use to be able to put all your stuff in. I put that in a zip file as well. So it shows everything you need. You have blueprint right here, player, pawn, skin. As you see, we have all this F16 stuff in here. The one that's in a zip file is actually empty. So we're just gonna go here. It's gonna load. A little bit slow, it's an old PC. For skin pawn, we did get an error with the cooking. Just gonna start it up again. Probably because this PC is very slow and there's a lot of things running. So we're just gonna do this. We're gonna go to skin, find F16, and then basically you copy and paste all of these into here. You could do specific skin slot if you want, but preferably I like putting all of them in just for safety. So then we can go back. Then I can go back to content, back to vehicles, aircraft, F16. Make sure you have the right skin slot. and then this folder is empty. So in the template, you are going to be renaming this, going to be renaming that. So let's see if it actually saved correctly this time. Let's see what happens. So we're going to go over to, where is it? UE4 cooked, F16 glow test, save, cooked, no Windows editor, F16 glow test. And then I have all your files within the contents folder. So now let's find it. And now we have all of our files right here. So an error that could possibly happen, which I will mention twice at the end, is that all you get is just UASSET files. If you only get UASSET files, then that means that you need to close out UE4. There's most likely an INI error that I do not know how to fix, and close it out, reopen a project, and pretty much redo that entire process, and then it should be able to work. Or maybe you can reopen a project, but I would recommend just starting a new one under a new name and redoing it. It's not a very hard process. So now we're just going to simply drag this over here, and now we have all of our files. So now we're going to pack it up, and here's the important part. So when we pack this up, it has to be not compressed. It cannot be compressed. So I'm going to do without compression. I'm going to pack it up, hit enter, and then now we have our template. So I'm just going to go over to our mods folder. Make sure it's not in here already. It is not. We're just going to drag it over. And then that is it. We're going to go to Ace Combat 7. We're going to load it and see if it works. So while this is loading, there are a few errors you can come across. So one of them is with Unreal Engine 4. Let's say you only get UASSET files. Again, simply just restart UE4 Editor and do the process again. It will work. Or let's say you get this rainbow-like texture. It's an error with your instances. So which you would have to basically redo the instances, both decal and the normal ones. Just delete them. And they're going to do the normal instance. Like I said, repeat that process. Then duplicate, make the decal instance. And then we're going to go over and try to recook it again. Or let's say you're playing a super shiny. There's a problem with the MREC. Meaning that you did not do something right when it came to the alpha. So go back and look at what I did in my process, so that way you don't get that kind of really wet or like the whole plane is glowing, just to kind of get rid of that issue. So I'm going to go right here to Strider, and let me see, which one did I put it for? Oh, there we go. Whoa, that is stupid bright. Okay, so obviously, like I said, some of these are like really, really bright. That's like blinding. So there's actually a good example I can show you. Obviously the glow is working, but it is extremely, extremely bright to where we pretty much cannot see the aircraft whatsoever. So what we're going to do, we're just simply going to go turn it down. So I'm going to go Alt F4, and then we're going to go over here. I'm going to go to our normal instance first, and then it's just out of 5, so we're going to put that down to a 1. And then we're going to do this, and let's set our alpha down to 0. So to get half and half, make sure you click on this side right here. Then let's just put this down to, let's say, a 2.7. I think that's pretty fair. 2.7 is fair. We're going to hit save. Remember those numbers, 2.7. Go to the decal, 2.7. Change this to 1, and then change the alpha down all the way to 0. Save, and then now we go through the process of cooking again. So luckily we got one of the errors on camera, and it was very, very blinding. So that's one of the many errors you can get. Let's say that you're not getting any glow at all. Make sure that you follow the process correctly, and again, if you really need help on the guide or how to do it, again, Megaliths did make a guide, so make sure you go look at that and make sure it's completely accurate. as well as other contributors have. I would do all credits and I'll do all links and everything needed within the description. And if anyone needs crediting, please do let me know, because I'm probably not going to remember all of it. I am kind of in a rush to make this video. So we're just going to kind of wait for this to cook. And once it's done cooking, we can check it out. And then we can try out some other things as well. Like with weapons, I will make a video on that later. But luckily for us, it just finished cooking. So I'm going to go here, content, vehicles, aircraft, F-16C, 05. You could just copy the folder entirely. That would be a lot easier than just doing this. But I am a hard head that I just want to go in and get it done. So I'm going to go back. Whoops, missed one. Get rid of that. Control V. And now we're all set. So now we're just going to go back to where we came from. Now we're just going to do it again, uncompress, go way down, and without compression, and now we're okay. So I'm going to do this, we're going to delete that one, then we're simply going to drag template over, and then restart the game. And I also have a free cam tool as shown in the beginning of the video where I got rid of the hanger UI. Make sure you check out my last video for that. There is also a mini tutorial at the end of that video of how to use it. So let's just kind of hurry along here. And then we're going to go check on our F-16 again. And depending on how it looks like, this is basically the tutorial of how to get it to work. You just have to mess with the brightness a little bit. So let's check and see if it works. Go to our data viewer, aircraft viewer. Honestly, the Fort Grace hanger is the best to actually see what the glow looks like. So I'm just gonna go really slow. Check out the right one. And there we go. Now you can see the glow looks much nicer. And we have just a nice soft glow, kind of like what I wanted for the aircraft. Then to really get a glimpse of it, let's go back. And let's take it on a nighttime map. Then let's see how it looks. That's pretty much the video. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I will do my best. Also, if you would like to join a Discord, please join my Discord. And we also still do have the Vector Thrust Infinite files in here if you're still interested in that. And also just a nice place to chill and hang out. I'm in general every now and then if you want to talk to me. And if you need any assistance, I'm pretty much there every single day. So don't be afraid to come in and chat with me. But for now, let's see if this looks alright. And see, it's kind of like this in this hanger setting. It is glowing, as you can see, but it's not as noticeable. But it's still obviously glowing. So you will see it more clearly in the nighttime. And I'm getting a little bit of FPS drop. Again, this is a pretty old PC. And I'm running a lot of things at once. So now we can see what it looks like. It's currently loading. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And here we go. That's what it looks like. Very beautiful aircraft. The glowing looks nice and soft. It's not blinding. And that's pretty much the entire video. So again, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, because I really do need the watch hours. If you need any more assistance, join the Discord. And I do believe it's time for a new multiplayer stereotypes video. So please let me know on that, and I'll see you guys next time.